So a lot of joy in the UK as they mark the Platinum Jubilee here. A tragic milestone, though, has been now reached in Ukraine. They have now been at war for 100 days. I asked former British Prime Minister David Cameron about U.S. leadership and got his personal take based on his own meetings with Vladimir Putin. You met with Putin many times. What do you think about the Putin that you see now on the world stage and the brutality that we're seeing in Ukraine?
Well, it is completely appalling, and I think, there can be just no apology for it. I mean, this is one country invading another country, using the most dreadful methods of reducing these cities to rubble, creating massive waves of refugees, killing and maiming and murdering people in their own homes. It is appalling, and there can be no justification, no excuse, and there should be no appeasement of what is taking place. Of course, I had to work with Putin when I was Prime Minister. I mean, one always knew that he was someone with, deeply inimical to our values, and who was someone that you had to have a relationship with, but we were miles apart on almost everything. But I think what we are seeing is someone who has become even more aggressive, even more detached from reality, even more caught up in his own perverse view of Russian history and all the rest of it. And I hope that others in Europe won't forget that. I think there's always a danger that people will want to start negotiating or somehow reaching some sort of accommodation. We must be led by the Ukrainians. It's up to them how they decide to try and bring this to a close, and we must support them all the way through. But even after that's over, there can be no going back to normal with Putin, no return to any sort of normal relationship with Putin. He has crossed several Rubicons, and we shouldn't forget that.
Pardon me, does he seem like a different man to you? Because many people who've met with him over the years say this is not the Putin that I knew.
He does seem different, far worse. I mean, he was always bad, but far worse. And I think you've seen that in his public appearances and speeches, and experts that I've talked to, because obviously it's interesting for someone who did spend time with him to find out whether he really has changed, and they're pretty clear that yes, he has.
What do you think about the leadership in the United States? Is it strong enough with regard to Ukraine?
Well, I think the fundamental decision that the United States government has made, which is to support Zelensky and the Ukrainian government, to support with weapons, to support with money, that is absolutely the right decision. I think the key thing, thinking back to my time as Prime Minister, often when you think you've made a decision about we're going to provide these weapons or provide these arms or make this step, it's not good enough just to say that. You have to follow everything through to the end. Someone once said to me, as Prime Minister, you need a long screwdriver. You've got to reach right into the machine and make sure the things you said are going to happen really do happen. And I hope I'm wrong, but I worry that some of the things we've said we're going to give to the Ukrainians haven't got there yet. And I think you've got to follow it up. I had a general who worked for me said, amateurs talk tactics, professionals talk logistics. And I think he's right about that. The logistics of who gets what when is terribly important.
And so the decision by the United States to not give them any offensive weapons, that the missiles that we're sending now, and the UK has been aligned with this, are only going to fall within Ukraine.
Well,
is that wise?
Be clear. Yes, they are offensive weapons. We are giving them offensive weapons. The anti-tank weapons that Britain, for instance, is giving are offensive weapons and extremely effective ones. I think, though, trying to not have this escalate as a conflict between NATO and Russia, I think that is right, and that is the fundamental judgment, I think, that Prime Minister Johnson and President Biden are making. Now, look, it's frustrating. Of course, in your heart, you want to do everything you can to help the Ukrainians. So there are questions like no-fly zones, and you want that to happen, but then you have to stop.
Are you in favor of a no-fly zone?
I'm not, because I've set up a no-fly zone in Libya. I know what it involves. You have to shoot down every Russian plane. No, you have to shoot down every Russian plane. You have to shoot down. You have to get rid of Russian ground-to-air defences. That would mean attacking Russia. That would turn this into a Russia-NATO conflict. And, as frustrating as it is not to be able to do more, we are right to draw that red line.
Do you believe that Putin will succeed in the end, that he will get part of Ukraine?
I very much hope not. I think the Ukrainians have shown extraordinary, not just bravery, but also tactical ability. They're now getting this weapon supply, I hope very rapidly, not just from Britain and Germany and others, but crucially the American support is hugely important, particularly the artillery and the missile systems. Those can make a real difference. And with that, we must help Ukraine make sure that Russia loses, that Ukraine wins effectively. But we must be guided by the Ukrainians as to what is the end state that they are looking to and how we can help them to get there.
Last question just from this morning. You know, what do you think about Prince William, Prince Harry? We sort of heard some boos as Harry walked out. Just as a dad, as a human being, and you look at these brothers, how important is it to your country to see unity, not only in politics, but also in your royal family?
Well, I'm a massive fan of our royal family. I mean, I think the system works well for us, having a constitutional monarchy. It means the politicians, we can beat each other up, but at the pinnacle is an institution and a person in Her Majesty the Queen that everyone looks up to and brings the country together. And we're very fortunate here that we know who the next in line is, not just the next in line, but the one after that and the one after that with baby George. I know William and Harry a little. I met with them. It was a great privilege to do that as Prime Minister. They're both extremely nice young men. They're thoughtful, they're hardworking, they're thoroughly decent, good people. And I wish them well. I wish Harry well. It's great to have him and Meghan back in the country. You know, I'm sure that they can give public service here as they do in other parts of the world, and that's all to the good.
Were you surprised to hear Londoners booing at Harry this morning?
I didn't hear that, and you know, crowds can, you get all sorts of reactions from crowds, so I'll leave it at that.
David Cameron, thank you very much. Great to be with you.
Pleasure.
Former Prime Minister, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.